So absolutely, by far and away, my most anticipated 2023 Nintendo Switch game is none other than Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And yes, of course, we have seen this game go through delays so far, as it was originally slated for a 2022 release. But in today's video, we have to discuss a brand new update that has appeared online around this title that should lead to great news for all of us fans eagerly awaiting this game's release. And we have to break down and go over all the details right now. What's up, nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today. Make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. As I mentioned, guys, today we are discussing all things Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and a recent update that has been spotted online around the rating for this game because, yes, we are fastly approaching May 12th, 2023, and while Nintendo typically would not put out a further delay after they've committed to a hard date, Zelda games are notorious for having surprise delays pop up throughout their development, and you can see this time and time again in history. I remember personally waiting for Twilight Princess to come out and having that game pre-ordered and went through numerous delays, and then ultimately they decided to make it a Wii launch title and delayed it a full additional year to develop on that console and dual launch it between the GameCube and the Wii. And whether or not history repeats itself and we see something like that happen with new Switch hardware, that's all up for debate and speculation and not what today's video is about. Objectively, historically speaking, Nintendo does like to do that rinse and repeat, launch Zelda on new hardware type of strategy, as we even saw them do that with Breath of the Wild being Wii U and Switch dual release. But to first get on the same page with what this update to the game is and why it should signal great news for us not having to worry about any additional delays when it comes to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom launching, let's quickly hop over to Nintendo Life and read through their detailed typed up article together. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has been rated for Nintendo Switch. It's happening. Back in September, Nintendo confirmed during a presentation The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom would be arriving on May 12, 2023. We've now got what appears to be the very first rating for the game coming from South Korea Rating and Administration Committee. According to a translation, the game is suitable for 12 years and up and contains some mild violence. The description says it's a role-playing game for the Nintendo Switch in which the stage of the adventure to find Zelda expands into the sky. So while a game getting reviewed for its rating and having it officially confirmed and revealed is not a guarantee that we couldn't see another delay for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, it is also, I think, a surefire sign that yes, Nintendo has this thing just about ready to go, and whatever kind of last-minute adjustments they are making to the game currently, it is most likely minor bug fixes and fine-tuning of the title and maybe small adjustments, but if you are rating a game, in theory, you should have the entire finalized story, voice acting, and all of the contents that actually unfold in the adventure in order for it to be properly reviewed. So May 12th, 2023 can't get here fast enough, and I just can't wait to see Nintendo's creativity with the follow-up to arguably, well, it is not arguably, it is the most successful Zelda game ever, but arguably one of the fan favorites in the franchise. When we saw Link transition into that giant open world for the first time, it's also going to be very interesting to see how Nintendo navigates utilizing the same core Hyrule, the same core map, but making it different enough with areas in the sky, and then with what has changed. How far in the timeline have we gone from the end of Breath of the Wild into what we are playing through now? How much of the game does take place in the skies? What are the dungeon areas below that we saw them going through in the original trailer? And are we going to get things back like traditional dungeons? That is where my hope actually falls the most for this. I want that same open world exploration that Breath of the Wild delivered with its concept and its gameplay, but I do want to return to some classical elemental themed dungeons like we saw up to this point in the series be a staple for 3D Zelda games. You would not play a single 3D Zelda without going through elemental themed dungeons, and while you can argue that by Skyward Sword maybe the formula was starting to get a little bit stale with the linear progression that they stuck to for all these years, I still think there was a lot of enjoyment and unique fun factors that came into some of those dungeons, and I do want that back as opposed to the Divine Beasts, because while I thought that was really cool, I also felt like the Divine Beasts were very similar to each other than just their puzzle mechanics changing. They kind of had the same aesthetic and feel feel, and while I enjoyed them, I felt like I wanted more out of a dungeon side of things. And while the shrines were really cool, I can't see us playing through another 100+ shrines in Tears of the Kingdom. So what are those replaced with? Are we going to be starting from scratch with our stamina bar and hearts? Most likely, as that's what you'd expect in every Zelda game. But do they throw a curveball and Link already has a couple stamina wheels and half of a full bar of hearts, and then maybe they bring back pieces of heart, and that's actually how we level up our health, and maybe our stamina wheel is already maxed out, or maybe it's similar to Breath of the Wild with having shrine trials and stuff like that, but they're not as prevalent. Because I don't know about you guys, while I enjoyed the shrines, you get me past 50 or 60 of the things and they do start to become, while they're different puzzles, somewhat repetitive in their overall theme. And so I think that Breath of the Wild was the first attempt at an open world, and while it did so much right, there's a couple things that as a hardcore long-term Zelda fan, I would like to see them bring the best of both worlds when it comes to the classical 3D formula and what they created and ventured out with Breath of the Wild. Maybe we have non-breakable weapons. Maybe they bring back the hook shot in this game. There are so many different exciting possibilities, and I personally cannot wait for May 12th, 2023 to get here. And the best part about us talking about this update to the game today is clearly the fact that if it is rated, all of the bulk of the heavy lifting should be done, and we should not have to worry about Nintendo potentially pushing this back any further. Because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I've personally waited long enough for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, especially considering this was a game that was first announced with an initial trailer in back of June of 2019. So it is definitely time. The wait is almost over. Will we see another trailer in anticipation and lead up to the release? I think something like a February Direct makes a ton of sense, or maybe Nintendo does something like they did with Xenoblade and Splatoon and actually give a Zelda themed Direct, although I think that's less likely. I think they reveal less about mainline Zelda games and explain how they work versus some of their other series that they try to heavily promote. So I could see the final trailer of the February Direct being a big gameplay blowout with a lot of the questions answered on the intricacies of the game and the story and the gameplay direction. But of course, at the end of the day, we will just have to wait and see how Nintendo handles the media marketing hype into this ultimate release on May 12th. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your thoughts and feelings around where we are at in our waiting period with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom today. Are you excited to see this rating? And do you think it reinforces the idea that, yes, we don't have to worry about any further delays? Or did you already kind of feel that way because Nintendo normally doesn't throw a hard date on things unless if they are very confident that that is when it will drop? And definitely share with me what you personally want to see in terms of the direction for how they go with this game. Do you want more of the same, what we saw with Breath of the Wild in terms of divine beasts coming back, and maybe that's our dungeons? And do you want just a rinse and repeat of the same shrine setup that we saw in the original game? Or are you hoping that they do actually change some of those things? And what do you think about breakable weapons? Do you want those to return? Or would you rather have a few swords that you don't have to worry about damaging, and then maybe enemies' items are the only things that end up being breakable for you? Are you hoping we see the return of multiple items like the hook shot and various different ones that are from classic 3D Zelda games return to this? And do you want elemental dungeons to return like I do? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.